SFJ 4x4 Studios presents
in my oversized four-wheel drive Jeep.
a Jeep podcast starring industry experts.
Pure monosity. What? Say that again.
With mad scientist Scott Brown,
Use my drill press as a sort of lathe.
our host Neil Simpson,
If one light goes out, they all go out.
filled with shenanigans.
We are really professional with Jeeps.
This is I Speak Jeep.
Hey, we are live.
Hey, we are live.
So if you missed the beginning of the episode, go to YouTube and you can watch the beginning of the episode. But in the meanwhile, we're going to make you wait and continue on with the episode.
We are going to be talking about the waiting game, hence why Jeffrey said we're going to make you continue to wait. And this was...
Just like all the parts logistics in the world right now.
That's absolutely correct. And
And customer service.
that too.
Just wait and keep on waiting.
Keep on waiting. We're going to put you on hold. So we are talking about the waiting game and the world that we're living in, and I'm gonna talk a little bit about the fact that we have become. I think that
Joe says you're here. We were always here, Joe.
we were. Joe, you were side texting me, and I was like, "We're here! I swear, we're here. We started right on time.
We are here. We are here.
Right? We started on time. For folks who are joining us on the Book of Faces, we started on time, and something malfunctioned on the back end. Now, we lost all of our YouTube watchers. That makes me big sad. But hopefully they'll find us. Yeah, hopefully they'll find us and get back.
A couple of the YouTube watchers were from Facebook going over to YouTube. So
True that. So we are talking about the fact that largely we have become this. I shouldn't say we have become. I think it's human nature. We are in the pursuit of immediate gratification, which is obviously why 25 years ago I bought 35s and wheels for my Jeep, despite it not actually being lifted. I did that. And because I wanted that immediate gratification of knowing my end goal, and I kind of literally put the cart before the horse. I bought the wheels and tires before the lift. So I think it's human nature. What I think has become more exemplified is our ability to access immediate gratification via the interwebs and then cheap/affordable product availability.
Well, let's say even back then when you wanted immediate gratification, you had to still wait
Yes.
because you had to either drive to procure the wheels and tires, or you had to wait for the shipping guy to show up with them.
Right. We had a completely different shipping logistics. You
Yeah.
you really weren't getting wheels and tires.
Yeah, you would like get off the phone and be like, hey, I just ordered this, and now I will see it in
2 to 3 weeks.
yes.
Possibly. And at that time, tires, you may or may not recall, it was kind of sketch to ship tires through the...
It was like, will they accept them or will they not?
Correct. And I remember most tire logistics were on pallets. You had
Yes.
to freight it. And we didn't have, in my opinion, as much residential freight delivery with liftgate trucks. So then you had to hook up with a commercial entity.
Yep.
So there was people, and I remember as I got into into selling parts and having to freight things, people using their local feed mills, and their buddy worked at a factory and able to access the dock at certain
Yep.
hours. And, you had to do that type of stuff to...
You might get your stuff via Greyhound.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to know, and that's a true story, folks. You may or may not recall Greyhound bus as an attempt to make a little bit more money because they weren't filling out all the seats. They actually offered for a brief period of time a overweight shipping process.
Yeah, it was super cheap.
Yeah, it was super cheap, and
I shipped seats like that and a bunch of other big ungainly stuff.
And the idea was that people were no longer traveling via Greyhound like they once had.
Yep.
And so you have that basement storage, which was originally kind of built in for oversized luggage and, stuff that you didn't carry on. Well, now people were, accessing, first of all, they weren't filling out Greyhound buses. And B, they weren't going on 3 or 4 day trips.
Yep.
And so you could ship a package via Greyhound, and they would shove it in the basement, and it would go port to port of the Greyhound stations. But if I recall, you actually had to pick up and drop off at the Greyhound.
You did.
Yeah. Of course, in that regard, that always had its own challenges as far as, access to a Greyhound. You weren't just going to your UPS hub, and UPS wasn't coming to your house. But more so,
There was another company that did that as well. I can't remember now. Wasn't it Fastenal?
Fastenal did it as well. They were trying to get into the logistics market. And I will 100%, when you tune into something that's more, Jeffrey and I haven't done an American Hustle in a hot minute, but around the concept of that type of podcast, our theoretical concepts, bigger ideas and whatnot. I oftentimes challenge people in personal conversation to say, what does Jeff Bezos sell? And Jeff Bezos doesn't technically sell anything, right? What he had created was access to logistics. And that actually is rather fitting in this specific conversation, because what he did was he allowed us to tap into that desire for immediate gratification, and then to access the logistics from port to pickup of sorts, right? So he took care of that with Prime specifically. And what a number of people may or may not remember was that in part, his foundational service was actually in used college textbooks.
Yep.
And I actually, back in the early 2000s, was on Amazon selling used books. Thought it was a pretty good little side hustle, because they were, making a process that was rather cumbersome previously far more accessible. And eBay was selling parts and pieces and so on and so forth, whereas Amazon was looking at streamlined logistics. And so part of the waiting game is that over the course of 20 or 30 years, our ability to go from the mail order catalog experience,
Right. I would say we could go back further when you used to write out a letter, put your check in it, send it off to wherever, Sears. Someone would get your letter, open it, cash your check, box up your crap,
Yep.
and then send it to you. And you just be like, so show up someday.
It's going to show up someday. You didn't really call them. You just,
No.
You literally would fill out a form in the bottom of a magazine or a piece of paper.
It's like ordering from Wish today. You just know that someday it might show up.
You're wishing.
Does anybody actually order from Wish anymore?
I don't know.
Everybody, it all stopped coming across. It all got held up in the port and destroyed.
Real quick in the comments, Jerry said he bought a Wienermobile pedal car via Greyhound back in the day. It was actually a hilarious experience. That sounds hilarious.
That is awesome.
And then
What a great campfire story that is. Everybody's sitting around, and then you come out with, I bought a Wienermobile pedal car that showed up on a Greyhound.
that's one of those. No, that didn't happen. I believe it happened.
Yep.
Jeannie said no Nate today because he's out having fun at Trail Hero X.
Nate was on here. He was. He was trying to be on here.
Yeah. On the first rendition.
On the first rendition, he was harassing us, and he has already messaged through
Yeah.
That our vinyl stickers are not sticking satisfactorily in the blazing heat out there.
Gee, I wonder why.
Yeah, right.
Giaga Jeepers pointed out J.C. Whitney took 4 to 6 weeks delivery back in the day.
100%.
And that was fast.
And I want to note that before J.C. Whitney was a thing, and a lot of people reference J.C. Whitney, it was actually Wachowski's before that. And so, or Wachowski's or something, a pronunciation. And then you eventually, J.C. Whitney buys out the Wachowski's catalog series. And so we go back this whole process.
Speedway was that way too.
Yeah.
They've just matured with the
the times. And I have all the appreciation for those companies who have made the transitions. And that's not exactly what this intended conversation is.
We should do a podcast about that, though.
We should. Actually, I would love to. You'll hear me talk all about four-wheel drive hardware all over again.
Yes.
That was a lot of the early episodes. I'm happy to grab my backpack and my shovel and start to dig again. I'll just dig all that up again. That's all good.
No problem.
But really, I wanted to lock in and talk about how this conversation of the waiting game pertains to today's modern logistics, from manufacturer quality, specifically small batch or USA made product line, to giant, basically container loads. We've all seen the freighter ships coming across the ocean. We've seen the trains going, from point A to point B with the Connex containers on them. Those are all full of
stuff,
import goods.
Well, and honestly, like Amazon, for example, makes it hard because you have all the things on there. You can have a small mom and pop place selling something on there with their logistics, and then you can have a big conglomerate that has a shipping container full of it with different logistics. And because we were once and still are sort of promised next day to 2-day delivery, we expect both to do that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I think that the one thing that Amazon does do, and I've learned via proxy. First of all, again, I was on there selling many moons ago. And then two, I've watched a number of good, what I would call small batch manufacturers, Azzy Design Works being one of them, and their trials and tribulations with Amazon, let alone a couple other manufacturers that I am cognizant of that are USA manufacturers, selling both on Amazon and direct to customer on their websites, and in catalog sales with your larger e-commerce retailers like Quadratech. And what I recognize with Amazon is that they still hold you at stringent requirements of immediate availability. So unlike yesteryear, where you would put that check in the mail and mail it off to Jim Bob's Jeep Parts, and Jim Bob might take 3 weeks to ship your part just because he's off screwing around.
Yes.
Now Jim Bob, if he wants to sell on Amazon, the trade-off is you're going to be put in front of a billion people, right? Your product is now advertised and is optimized as far as search algorithms concerned in front of billions of people, but you have to jump through X, Y, and Z hoop to deliver said product in the time frame that we deem expected as a corporation from Amazon's perspective down to the independent seller. And you can, as I understand, take your product, as he was doing shift linkage, for example, and he would store it. He would pay to warehouse it within Amazon's facilities.
Right.
For an additional cut on behalf of Amazon. Now,
I get you extra brownie points because now it shows up, distributed by Amazon.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And I would let as he speak for himself. He's not here to contend that, but he's led a very public life, utilizing his social media platforms to talk about the ups and downs of his processes. Because then the problem is, once he started to do that, and just like anything, any good, worthwhile product, it will get copied by import markets.
Everyone.
I'm going to jump over to the comments real quick because Daddy Jeep said he had bought a roll bar from J.C. Whitney back in the day, a plastic one even. It must have been for that pedal car from Jerry Hoover.
I think faux roll bar is supposed to be in there somewhere.
Yeah. I don't know. What plastic roll bar would you be using?
I'm really, because here's the thing. I need folks to know that I used to live and breathe by receiving the J.C. Whitney catalog and the JP magazine. I remember them showing up in the mail, and I would be, back when 4 Wheel Parts was a legitimate company. What's that?
You were vested.
I was, and I had markers, and I was, drawing arrows, and
He wasn't drawing arrows. He was drawing hearts. and
it was hard
notes.
And then I had like notebook paper, and this will surprise, if you're close to me, it will not surprise anybody, but I would like list the product number, and the price, and I would track it from catalog to catalog to verify when it was a good time to buy stuff. Also, it was like a daydream of mine, because of course I was going to own like a crew cab dually 4x4 pick 'em up truck plus a Suburban plus a Jeep, and so I was daydream benchtop building all of those via the JC Whitney catalogs. So I was in there pretty regularly. So I want to know what plastic
Square
roll
body Chevy is what he put.
I bet you it was the one that was angled. It was the angled, like the triangle type looking roll bar. That's kind of a fair.
Just had to hold up your KCs.
That's right. That's all I had to
It's
actually
not actually
do.
a roll bar then.
Correct. I also get a kick out of the Jim Bob is like trail forged. I'm aware of that. And if they're going to take a gajillion years, like Notch Customs, and then sort of fold AGR power steering systems, I'm here for it. Let's put their business out there and tell people not to buy from them. But that's not me being jaded at this industry.
That could be a whole nother podcast.
It could be. Could be. Griffin Radiators. So
Who has wronged?
who has wronged me as far as presenting themselves as a legitimate business, and now we're going to put them on blast.
That might need to be like a 4-part episode. Start with FedEx.
Anyways,
Picnic table.
businesses. If you don't know, because I want you to be in on the inside joke. If we're going to talk about inside joke, we ordered from a good quality manufacturer, good USA manufacturer. God, I'm trying to remember who the heck it was. They were somewhere West Coast, and it had to come freight, and so somewhere along the line of it traveling from California to here,
It morphed.
it morphed from a bumper or from a suspension system into picnic tables. And so FedEx delivered us a pallet load of picnic tables around the COVID times,
Yeah.
right? It was 21.
Where we went wrong was we were like, no, we didn't order picnic tables. We should have just took those suckers.
We should have, but we refused the picnic tables upon delivery.
So we got
because
charged for that delivery.
got charged for it. For about 4 years, I fought that one, and that was a good one.
I remember taking the call. It was like 4 years later, and I'm like, you don't understand.
Yeah.
We got picnic tables, and we're a garage shop. We didn't order picnic tables. We
Yes.
ordered parts.
We should have
for Jeeps.
Should have kept those.
Should have
and
kept
we
the
at
picnic
least
tables.
been on our picnic table talking to them about
Right,
it.
talking to them. But that's a sort of a perfect example. But the idea that because data set exists on the internet, we as consumers believe that product to exist.
I wish I had $1 for every phone call, and I don't field a lot of phone calls
Sure.
of people calling. Hey, I was just wondering if you like have this one of 3 part on the shelf somewhere that has been available for like 20 years.
Right.
For this obscure old vehicle. It doesn't exist, homie.
And the product might have data that exists and is floating around the internet.
But to the credit of that caller, at least they're trying to find it. They're calling different sources. I understand that versus just being mad that they can't find it anywhere.
Yeah.
And so that is a thing. And
we have had random parts like that before. We're like, actually, we do have one sitting here. We don't know why.
Yeah. That's fair.
and that is absolutely true. But the efficiency of that becoming
Right.
customer or consumer available.
That's selling by accident.
Right.
Right. And so as an example that I'm wanting to kind of specifically share is there is a number of products that are what I would call small batch manufactured. And the problem is people look in at companies, and I'm going to use good USA companies like Iron Rock Off-Road. I'll talk about Dana Spicer in their aftermarket program, but likewise Curry as an example. And Curry and Dana are making, specifically axles and axle related products. Well, The challenge is that the process to make said product, and I'll throw Mickey Thompson in on the conversation as well, because I can.
We're have people like, those aren't small manufacturers.
Well, and they're not, and that's why the thing is we think of them being these large prolific machines that should be able to satisfy a transaction or sale at a moment's notice, because we perceive them as this illustrious company, this, monster of a company, if you will, that they should be able to fulfill my order. I see the data. I know that the company is this big trusted entity. Northridge says that this product should exist. And so therefore, when I swipe my card, the product should show up.
What they don't know is that, like for Dana example, they make 10 of this axle in this gear ratio, and then they move on to the next gear ratio and make another 10. And it just goes through the market as a roll.
And I would be surprised if it's actually even 10.
I was going to say, but there's also the fact
be
that
nice.
companies like Northridge will put the inventory on there for pledged inventory.
Yes.
They don't necessarily have that in their warehouse.
Yes.
They just know that they have an order in with
in 3 weeks, they're
Dana to
going to
get those
make
axles.
10 axles. So they're going to try to sell those 10 before they're even made.
And I've certainly seen this argument happen at the Quadratech level or at the extreme terrain level, where they are not putting inventory,
Right.
and they're just taking people's money,
Yep.
Yes.
and then they're
Playing
sitting
customer
on it. They're
service.
playing customer service.
Yep.
And Rusty's Off-Road was one of...
Quadratech.
I know, that one really chapped you. Rusty's Off-Road, and I'm not exactly certain what Rusty is doing these days, but back in the day, pre-COVID, a year or two pre-COVID, I had a personal conversation with Rusty, and he said it was important to him at that time that if he had the product, if it was on his website, then he had to have one on the shelf.
Yeah.
And for many years of me working with him, again, all this conversation kind of came. It was prior to COVID. It was really important to him that if it was listed on the website, then he had one on the shelf ready to ship to customer. And that was his commitment to the community as a whole.
And I'm sure that was because of him dealing with the early days of logistics and getting burned.
Absolutely. And I think that, and I'm not sure what has happened in the last, 3 to 5 years, because I do know that everybody, certainly domestic markets, experienced, delays in product availability and challenges.
Huge delays.
Huge delays. Rusty had the best COVID
Yes, he did.
cold music explaining his situation. And the problem, and this is a good segue in conversation, is the material that the bar is high for Iron Rock, for Dana, for Curry, for Mickey Thompson, and they're not willing
JKS.
to. What's that?
And JKS.
JKS, Rusty's, they're not willing to lower their standards just to meet supply or meet demand by tarnishing their supply. And arguably, there are times where we will see things with them where they're trying to push stuff out the door. And their failures are still even different than the import product failures, in my opinion. But like, you could have a bumper manufacturer, Deviate, that is in the Asian markets, and they'll use kind of anybody's metal that they can use.
Whatever the cheapest bidder is.
Potentially.
Metal
right?
adjacent.
And I don't know that specifically about Deviate's situation as far as the cheapest bidder on the metal itself, but factually, the Red Rock or the Barricade or the Deviate, we've certainly seen those products be affordable and available without much deviation in product price point via the tariffs and the this and the that's and so on and so forth. That product just seems to still flow through our market somehow.
Yep.
And yet we see it, possibly rust out within 6 months or 10 months if you're, in the Rust Belt areas. I'm certain that if you are consuming that product and you're in the Southwest and it only ever lives in your garage or,
It stands
wherever,
a chance.
it stands a chance,
Well,
right?
out there, the powder coat just dies by the sun, and then it still rusts away.
Well,
That's why I said it stands a chance.
right. I mean, so that it's the challenge is the average consumer might not be aware of those idiosyncrasies in the process of consumption. You know what I mean? In the process of picking the right part for their vehicle. They just go, hey, I know this product exists. I like the look of it. It fits within my price point. I pull the trigger and it shows up. I feel happy, right? Whereas I recently was corresponding with one of our good customers in California. He was looking at some fender flares for his wife's Jeep. And I think I turned him on to Road Armor. Road Armor out of Texas, kind of Fab Fours-ish. That's Fab Fours is far more known in the Jeep community. Road Armor had its ups and downs. They're definitely a big truck manufacturer. They tend to have a month and a half, 2 month lead times. At one point in time, we sold a bumper of theirs, again, COVID times, took 6+ months. And that was no delay on our part from the moment that the customer placed the order with us to us, placing the order with Road Armor. They were just on a 6-month lead time. Now, one of the companies that was, in my opinion, infamous means that you're kind of negatively known for something, would be JCR. So even prior to the COVID times, JCR had exorbitant lead times. Now, the other thing that JCR was doing is they had a wildly successful and ultra silly social media.
I was say they had to make pizza shirts. They couldn't make the product.
They were making fun shirts. They were doing lots of public outreach. I can appreciate their commitment to the community as a whole. But one of the things that they did was they withdrew themselves from the entirety of the distribution network. And this is important to note because they did this because they weren't going to change their lifestyle. They had a captured audience, people who were going to their page to land on their page, people who enjoyed their social media presence, people who in their geography appreciated their product, and they no longer wanted the headache of their product being available across the World Wide Web and by proxy the distribution networks, the Quads, the Extremes, the Northridges, the whoever's, right? And they are, JCR, intended or is a small batch manufacturer. They're not making their bumpers via, crappy press machines over in import markets and then stuffing them into a container and shipping them across the pond. So they changed their distribution to make their product harder to find. But they did that intentionally, right?
And say, are they even a thing anymore?
JCR? Absolutely.
I haven't heard
Absolutely.
them in a minute.
And well, so they're big in the Toyota market. They've actually kind of shifted their approach. They created Victory, which Victory was intended to compete with the modular market that was really popular at the end of the JK. Again, talking about that immediate consumption, I credit Rugged Ridge, which is an import manufacturer. And they saturated the market. They rebranded themselves with the JK because you and I remember Omix ADA and Rugged Ridge being crap.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, I remember one day vividly around 2015, 2016, and I remember seeing a Jeep just like super proud to have the window banner and had the stickers and it said Rugged Ridge on it and, and blah, blah, blah. And I thought to myself, holy cow, like they have rebranded themselves. JK owners think this is a cool brand. And what they did in that same time frame was they created what I call the modular market. And this helped change the waiting game because if you recall, now more things could ship more efficiently. Things were flat packed and you had to assemble them. They were kind of like Jeep parts via IKEA.
Yes.
And you could buy bumpers and you would buy just the stubby. And then you could buy wings that had little lock boxes on them.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, we had a customer who did that bought via the mail order process. And I use that word tongue in cheek because he obviously did it via the internets. But immediately those locks, the hinges, everything seized, rusted shut within, 18 months here in our area. This was like I said, 15, 16-ish. And yet they created the modular market so that by the time that the JL rolled around, we saw a bunch of manufacturers, even small batch. Highline Off-Road was, God rest their soul, even Highline Off-Road was attempting to the modular market with the JL bumper series because they were trying to pursue the fact that they could have a bunch of smaller parts prepped and ready for the consumer to acquire their product. Accessorize. You want a bull bar or you don't want a bull bar? You can bolt it on, right?
Yeah.
You want wings or you don't want wings? You can bolt them on or off. And that then was an attempt to create greater speed to market, which then limited the waiting game. Whereas we've seen a number of companies, I think, that actually created the race to the bottom for a lot of companies. They kind of got away from what made them uniquely them. JCR was taking a lot of heat because it's important to know JCR only wanted to work 4 days a week. This is an important part of the story. So then they would go out camping, partying, and doing other types of fun off-road shenanigans Thursday night, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And they worked their butts off, Monday through Thursday, I think. But people saw them out goofing off and not filling their orders, not making their parts. Their wait times got longer and longer. And so JCR said, well, hey, we're not going to jump into the distribution game. We're going to actually pull ourselves back because the race to the bottom, that's how they cut themselves off from racing to the bottom of their quality control. Whereas Highline Off-Road, they ended up going, they closed down. I don't want to say they did not go bankrupt. They just went belly up. We've seen a number of manufacturers, close, realign, or whatever. With that said, manufacturers like Artec and Rockhard, I think those are the ones I want to exemplify. They doubled down and they said, you know what? I'm not even going to worry about trying to put product, Iron Rock. I'm not even going to worry about putting product in distribution networks. I'm just going to do what makes us uniquely us. You're going to get a Rockhard bumper and it's going to show up on a freight pallet. Yep. And you're going to wait 3 to 5 weeks to get it.
Yep.
And that's if they don't realize that they have to redo the powder coat.
Well, that is an unfortunate part of their conversation.
At least they're willing to.
But they are willing to.
They are willing to. And Artec, they are unwilling, at least in conversation that I've had with them, to lower their bar or standard on their metal acquisition process. Mm-hmm. Aluminum, whether you're fully aware or not, aluminum is a product that is not great in domestic markets. This is one that the process of creating aluminum product requires import processes. I think we rely on stuff outside the U.S. to make aluminum products inside the U.S. And when we introduce geopolitical hiccups in the road, making aluminum products suffers. So we may have our own aluminum. We can't actually make it well because we don't have all the ingredients per se to do the job. And so like Artec and a couple other manufacturers are like, nope, I'm not even going to try and push a product to market if I can't do it to our degree, to our level. So what ends up happening is, as a consumer, we're then faced with this conversation of, do I turn to Amazon or some just random internet page to hope and pray that I get this part, or I buy a bumper via Prime that tells me I'm going to have it immediately in 3 days? Or am I making a concerted purchase that I know that's going to take a month, 2 months for me to get the product.
Let me go to the comments then. I got Opie and Quigley saying, got a set of Snotty Built fenders that are rusted out in less than a year and a set of Go Rhino sliders that are all dented in because they aren't really sliders. Powder coat is trash too. I didn't buy once, cry once. My mistake. And that fits perfectly with what you were just saying. You're going to pay more. You're going to wait longer, but you'll have a better quality product.
Yep. Buy once, cry once.
And that is such a challenging concept because that then
Because we live in a
forces
world
us-
of instant gratification.
Correct. And I think that that's human nature, though, right? So how do we balance that gratification with waiting, right? And I know that one of the things that we specifically try to do, and when we are a well-oiled machine, which, if you didn't know, that's not the chapter SFJ is in right now. And I'm just going to own it. I'm going to call a spade a spade.
We're surviving.
We are surviving. We are doing well, and we thank everyone for their patience in this transitionary process. But Jeffrey has gone on to greater pursuits. Savage has gone on to his own greater pursuits. And so there are some hiccups in the there's not as much coal getting shoveled into the boilers at this process. But when we are doing things as they were designed to do, we have a back and forth so that when you're opening your emails, you're getting some updates. When you're going to your picture albums, you're seeing some pictures of your products you're arriving. Your Jeep is showing up. It's on the lift. There's an attempt on our end, despite the fact that there is a waiting game with us because of how we do things. We're trying to give you some satisfaction in the overall process versus back in the day with Wachowski's where I wrote out a form and I checked some boxes and I circled some things and I put a check in there and I mailed it. And then you just...
I was going to go with Scott's reference of send it by horse and wagon, but whatever.
That's true. We haven't brought up those.
I knew we had to get the horses
Pony
somehow.
Express.
The
somehow
Pony
in there.
Express.
And really, myself, I have no problem waiting for a quality part.
That's because you're
when-
like 88 years old
Well,
in your
that's true.
soul.
Well,
But-
here's the thing.
I had a point. Hold on a second.
Go
All
ahead.
right.
But when it's uniquely that process, so say, for example, JCR was making a specific bumper their way. Okay, I will wait for that. What I get bugged by is when I go on and I can see maybe they're just assembling product into one package and then sending me that package, and I start to see the chinks in the armor. So I know that, well, actually this comes from over here and this comes over here. And I can go over here and go like, well, this is like $800. This unique part of it is $5, and it's actually available over here. And I could have that faster than I could have this over here, but I'm paying them to assemble it,
Paying for the convenience.
paying for the convenience. That's where I start to not being as understanding as possible.
But what I was going to...
And I like that we try to show transparency and go like, hey, actually the $5 part did show up and it's on the shelf and it's waiting for you, but we're waiting on this other part. So we're showing the behind the curtain kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
we're trying to bridge the waiting game versus have that curtain drawn on the consumer. And I think that, and I know I don't want you to lose your thought, but just kind of as an extension on there.
Go ahead.
I think that we live in a society where like people want to know, they want to see inside, and certainly within the Jeep community,
They want the
They want to-
tracking number.
they want the tracking number.
Yeah.
They want to open up the curtain and see and watch. They might not necessarily be able to make all those things, but they're like, hey, I'm interested in what's happening behind the curtain. I'd like to watch.
And that actually goes into what I was trying to bring
Great.
up, 5 minutes ago. Sure. That the waiting game is based on the person that's waiting. How fun can they have in the waiting line? If you go stand in a line at a DMV and somebody's dancing and listening to music and they're having a good old time, they don't mind the little extra wait to get to the counter. Versus the guy that's just sitting there like, what the, this is going to take forever.
So
they're having a bad day. So with social media, instant gratification, some of the things that I see people doing that have to wait for those parts as they're churching it up on social media. They're marketing their own self, their vehicle, whatever they're doing, making it a fun experience for that waiting period.
Cultivated waiting.
That's right.
Cultivated
There
waiting.
you go.
My gosh,
New
we're going to come out
SFJ
with
term.
we're going to come out with a checklist to cultivate your waiting game. I think that that's a great example, Jeff, because it makes me think of specifically a near and dear place for certainly Greg and I, Cedar Point.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Cedar Point is known for having some of the most adrenaline pumping, extreme ride attractions.
Wait in line for
in
3
the
hours
US.
for a 30-second ride.
But you're going to wait in line.
Yep.
Right? Now, there's a couple ways. A, you can choose
Fast track.
You can choose to pay more to fast track things.
Yep.
You can choose to stay on one of their in-house resorts, so you get an hour or two earlier or later, potentially. There's ways to work within their
You
system.
can get food while you're waiting.
But you have to be very, very involved. You can't be
Vested.
a disconnected consumer, right? You can't
Yeah.
just be like, well, I put my card in and now
If you're doing that, you're waiting the 4 hours.
you're waiting the 4 hours. Likewise, if you show up and let's say the park opens normal time at 9 or 10 a.m. and you go to the first ride, everybody just goes to the first ride. Everybody like this pattern of human behavior, they actually move the same rides. That herd mentality actually goes and they stand in the same line and they move from front to back of the park. My wife and I, years and years ago, the gates opened, we ran to the back of the park and
Yep.
worked our way backwards.
Because the line was smaller at the back of the park.
100%.
So
Right?
you got more rides in.
I got more
by
rides
working
in for the
system.
day. 100%.
Yep.
Right? Now, that was part of that experience. Now, Cedar Point's no dummy, though. They're good at taking your money and trying to make it as enjoyable as possible. In the lines where you're waiting for hours for your 30-second, thrill, they've got misters, they've got speakers. They even had DJs on some of their longest, big running, longest wait times.
Because they're
had
cultivating the waiting.
Correct. Correct. And if you go, hey, at the end, this is a value-added experience. This is worth it for me to sit in this line for the Top Thrill Dragster versus the Corkscrew. Mm-hmm. The Corkscrew or the Iron Dragon, which if you're not familiar, those were more of like entry-level roller coasters. Pretty. They'll throw you around a little bit, but entry level. If somebody told you had to wait for 3 hours in the Iron Dragon, you wouldn't go. So it's kind of like, to me, it's pulling the trigger on the Iron Dragon. You're like, it fits within my budget and it'll be here in the time that I'm, my budget is my time.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what? It's only a 10-minute wait. That's my budget. I'll go in there. and
Do the 10-minute wait for the Iron Dragon versus a 4-hour wait for the Dragster.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so
And you get a longer ride out of it by this much.
100%. So I think that it's important to call into contention. Now, the last part of this conversation that I want
Wait. Daddy Jeep, wait, isn't this a Jeep show? It is. Didn't you know there's Jeep coasters now?
the last piece of this equation, and it was a Jeep show, this is just a general logistics. What is happening with shipping in 2026? Right?
It's broken.
Well, it's broken. Fuel prices are higher than ever.
So things are going to sit.
Yep, things are going to sit. People are not going to ship as much. Prices are going to go up on shipping.
Yeah.
Because they've got to satisfy, the cost of moving the goods. We specifically ran into an issue 3 weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago. Oh, gosh, I guess it was a little longer than that, where we had an order, air quotes, go missing. It sat for, 7 days in a town 30 minutes east of us because they just didn't have drivers. It was a FedEx hub. I think it was FedEx.
Yeah.
That used to employ 13 drivers. And when I eventually got to talk to the individual, it was right before we had gone on air on one Monday. He said, hey, there's 5 of us. We're doing the best we can with what we've got. More product sits longer because we actually can't get it out. And so it just sits in the cross dock.
And if you didn't see that episode, Neil was a little bit fired up. Just a little.
Small amount.
I was.
For the whole
It
episode.
wasn't actually FedEx. It was a offshoot of FedEx.
Oh, yeah. No. UPS. It's UPS's old. You know what? Let me take it back. FedEx picnic tables. No, this was actually UPS and their freight division, because as part of the logistics, FedEx Freight, folks, is its own entity. It is now no longer umbrella controlled with anything else FedEx related.
Well, you keep saying FedEx, you mean UPS.
No. I'm saying
No,
literally
he's
FedEx.
right on FedEx right now.
Well, they're both.
FedEx Freight is still called FedEx Freight. Okay.
Oh, okay.
It's called FedEx Freight, and it is its own standalone company. FedEx, which used to have FedEx Ground and FedEx Express, are now merging within the next 6 months to what I believe they're calling FedEx Home Delivery, or just FedEx Home, which means they're eliminating drivers and routes and cross docks that are currently serving your neighborhood.
AKA Express went away.
Express specifically is being eliminated. And now the expectation is that FedEx Ground, which has become Home, but that same trucks, those same, hubs will now be supporting the route deliveries in your local neighborhoods. Now, UPS Ground has been doing the same service. This is not maybe unusual. And what they have is that UPS Ground, when you do next day air in non-peak seasons, next day air is, at least in our area, is guaranteed arrival by 10:30. So they go to the next day air areas first, delivering specifically next day air. That means that if the person next to you paid for next day air and you paid for ground, they're going to come to your neighbor's house and deliver by 10:30 a.m. You might not see that same truck, that same driver until 3 or 4 in the afternoon.
Yep.
That's just because of how it lays
Yeah.
out in the ground delivery.
Your delivery was there, sort of.
Yeah, it was literally right next to you, and now it is gone. Now, UPS, they sold off their freight delivery, which they became that company that I got all fired up, hot and bothered about. Somebody in the comments will remind me who it was. I don't know. We'll say it and I'll be like, yeah, them. I don't like them. But the big thing that UPS has done recently, I don't understand this to save my life. They have closed all of their middle operation satellite cross docks with the belief that more are on the way. Across the country, coast to coast, they have laid off people. They have closed cross docks, and they've flat out shut down operations in localized areas. Again, putting more workload on the same amount of drivers that they had, so on and so forth.
Yep.
The waiting game, all of this is to be said. Now, Amazon is like, don't even get me started on USPS. Like, that's not even applicable.
Well, and Joe's in the comments going on about FedEx being all independent contractors, which is also true.
It is.
It's basically a franchise.
FedEx Home now.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Because FedEx Express, I think, was like corporate. I don't think that FedEx
We're
Express
talking
was
about
the
the
same.
different colors of the FedEx. Remember, you would see
Yes.
green and then was orange, I want to say.
That's not familiar to me. But regardless, I think FedEx Express was this corporately owned piece.
Right.
And then the ground was the independent contractors,
Correct.
the franchises, as you're saying. And now this Home, I'm not sure how that substructure will work with Home.
It'll probably be all the independent contractors.
I'm
still.
guessing it will be as well.
Saves FedEx a ton of money.
Once again, Amazon is attempting to revolutionize logistics, right? And this does not bode well for small batch quality manufacturing. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, so I'm tying this all in, folks, to the fact that you're still going to be able to go on and buy some alphabet soup bumper and have it at your house, and you're going to have a tracking number basically from the time that it leaves China across the Connex container, landing in Los Angeles and to your house. It might as well be the Temu of, bumpers, which of course you can buy bumpers and axles on Temu. I've yet to do it, but I can see them. I'm interested.
I'm surprised you haven't.
Well, Jeff, Q1 2026 did not go how I thought it was going to go.
So I have an axe to grind on that, because they say that things are available and they say they're going to give you all this great stuff. And
Temu?
And then they don't.
Temu?
Yeah.
Why did you get...
I got bit by Temu.
Oh, my son got scammed by Temu as well.
I'm slowly getting my product.
Okay.
It's supposed to maybe show up today, but that's about the 15th time they said it was going to show up.
Oh, God.
Interesting.
But did you get to spin the free wheel?
I did spin the free wheel, and that's why I bought the $4 product, because I thought I was going to be able to get a discount on another product, and then they took it away.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
then you
I'm
need to
so
do
mad
all
they
the
do.
points and play the games, and you
That's
never
what they
actually
do.
get
Very
anything.
angry.
Jeannie brought up a good point. She's glad she's not at the post office now because they had to deliver from all those places, including DHL, and didn't get paid to deliver them. DHL is another good example of one that was a home delivery service.
Yeah.
And it used to be like they were chasing FedEx and UPS hard.
Yep.
And then one day they're like, nah, we'll just
done.
we'll go commercial international delivery only. And it was such a weird, just hard stop.
Hard stop. So I guess, my only resounding piece is to encourage individuals to buy once, cry once, to plan out that acquisition that is going to create value in your life, and understand that the 30-second ride on Top Thrill Dragster is going to be worth it. But in the meantime, cultivate that waiting game.
Yep.
Make it enjoyable. Figure out how you can post about things and keep it positive in the process, and keep it a degree of transparency and be involved in it. Because yes, that easy click of a button, buy now, have it in 2-3 days, feels good as an immediate dopamine release. It is arguably the same as watching a reel or a short. It's this. I asked my kid over the weekend, just trying to make sense of the world we're living in, and everybody does it, right? Everybody, whether it's on the Facebooks and you're watching the reels, or you're watching the Instagram reels, or you're watching shorts on YouTube or whatever, you'll sit there and you'll thumb through half a dozen at a time before you transition to the next thing. And we all do it at some point in our day. And I asked my son, I said, tell me something you watched yesterday. Tell me something out of the reels, out of the shorts that you watched. Did you learn anything? Did you get engaged in anything? Now, to his credit, he was actually able to recall one of the things he watched. But if he watched something for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, that's one 2.5-minute session.
Yeah.
Right? We are living in that as far as our pursuit of immediate gratification, our acquisition of crappy bumpers and sliders and lights and so on and so forth. And I understand. I'm not saying that you can't. I've got Nylite lights on my lawnmower, and I love them. Don't get me wrong. I bought those on Amazon. They worked really well for my intended purpose. There's a time and place for certain things. My expectations. My bar was in similar alignment with my expectations.
Yep.
I get that. But recognizing, trying to find that balancing act between the product that I want and that will benefit me and my expectations, but also, appropriately playing the waiting game.
And if your expectations are to replace it every other year, then go for it.
Gosh, there was something that I said, there is a product, and I'll think of it when we're off air. And the leading product in the industry, and I don't quote me on this, the leading product in the industry is like $2,500, and a comparable step down product is like $400, and it's going to rust out. Don't quote me, but I think it's steps, quite literally. Rockslide Engineering and their drop down steps versus a fixed, step that you can buy from Rough Country or, one of the e-commerce pieces. And I do recommend the Rough Country over a no-name Alphabet Soup Amazon version, just so we're all on the same page, because at least you can call them and they'll get a human on the end and they'll commiserate with you. They might tell you to pound salt at the end of the day, but you are going to be able to talk to a human in a business, and that is valuable. But anyways, at $2,500 or $3,000 for the Rockslide Engineering fully, kitted out, or a fixed step for $400, even if you destroy that fixed step, even if it rusts out, you can put like 5 sets on
Yeah.
for the same cost as the RSEs. Now, depending on your expectations,
I was going to say, but then you lose the convenience of the power steps. You lose the durability of it. You
the
lose,
actual slider functionality.
correct. So there's a lot of give and takes on that.
Correct. But if you don't
But if you're, I was
need...
going to say, if that's your expectation and you know that that's
And
by all means,
and that's fine. It's when the person doesn't understand
Correct.
the difference between the two, and they think they're getting they're a good product, but they're not.
Which
That's
is
what the problem
almost another conversation.
Absolutely.
Because how often we get people being like, well, this expert told me. And I mean no discredit to this individual, but this will segue us for a future talking point. I had an individual call the shop the other day, and we're really good at right-hand drives, right? And I mean, I say that in the sense that right-hand drive for the vast majority of the world is
It's like kryptonite to Superman.
correct.
They're like, I don't know what to do.
Correct.
the vast majority of the U.S.
And
Yes,
I say
fair.
that, of the US, and I say that a lot of these Jim Bob garages will not know that it's kryptonite. They're like, well, it's just a regular Jeep and I'm going to do this thing anyways. Does that make sense?
Yes.
That's my contention is they don't know that it's actually kryptonite and they're like, I'm going to make a gem out of this kryptonite and wear it because they don't know what they don't know. But yet TJ Wranglers and XJs and now JKs, we have more than a plethora of experience. And I've helped people build out lift kits for TJ Wrangler right-hand drives for years now using a number of different manufacturers, number of different resources. And that's like a BC line product not everybody's aware of. So this individual calls me because somewhere off on the corner of the internet, somebody has recommended our services to him. But he has already consulted with a company in Australia. And when he gets on the phone with me, he tells me, despite the fact that he's calling me because on a thread, they told him that we were the experts. He called me that this company in Australia had told him X, Y, and Z, sold him these parts. And this part that he actually needs, which I have knowledge of, doesn't exist. And I literally ended up saying to him, I said, why are you calling me? Like, what is your goal here? I can get you this part. Well, the folks who sold me the track bar, they said it doesn't exist. Oh, okay. But it does. Do you know what I mean? So, and eventually I just sent him on to that manufacturer, which is a small batch manufacturer. And think about how hard right-hand drive is to acquire. Mm-hmm. You know, this manufacturer is not going to have 100 of these track bars and track bar pockets sitting around.
Yep.
They might have 3.
Yeah.
And you might have to wait for the next round of things to come around. And I guess so that conversation about being sold a bill of goods
Yes.
is that primer for the next round of this kind of conversation, I suppose. But I digress. Mm-hmm. I think we've done enough waiting game for today.
I think the horse is beaten.
I could beat it a little bit more. If you have interest in hearing about our weekends, you should hang on after the outro credits. Otherwise, we wholeheartedly value you and your, participation in our podcast. Remember that you too can join in the live comments. We don't read or respond to all of them. You can just jump in there and share with folks and chit chat almost every Monday morning at 10:19 a.m. Additionally, a number of people have recently reached out with topics, and I genuinely appreciate that. And we will be getting to those sooner than later. Additionally, we are about a month away, a little more, from Bantam Jeep Heritage Festival. And so the show season is upon us, right? I encourage people, despite some of the challenges with fuel and cost of groceries and all that kind of stuff, that ideally we can prioritize getting out there and enjoying each other's company at a number of these events and shows this summer, and kind of staying true to what makes this Jeep community so awesome. I think with that said, we've got a ton of Jeeps to attend to today. And we will be talking about Bantam here in the very near future, getting people excited about that, and then subsequently some other great shows coming up this summer. But not today, next time. Until then, Jeep on.
Jeep on.
Jeep on.
I still like my do-do-do-do-do-do.
No. So I have to complain about the weatherman first and foremost, that I was promised like no rain. It was like 2%. I woke up and it was not the case. It was something like 70%. And I don't know how we go from 2% and then, a night's sleep, and now it's 70%.
The lake.
The lake.
But I was personally affected.
Wow.
What? What were you?
And so those that don't know, I took off work on Saturday to go to the Canfield swap meet in Canfield, Ohio. It's something I've been going to for years with family and friends. And it was snowing at my windshield as I was driving there, to the point I was like, I don't know if I want to keep going. If I'm just going to stand in the snow, and I'm not feeling this in May. So got there, and I was actually pleasantly surprised. We had a lot of diehards wandering around, bundled up. A few were even in shorts, and I still continue to not understand that concept. But was able to wander around, and the cool part is that it kind of ties in a little bit with what we were talking about today. The people that were there with products for sale were there to sell the product. They weren't there to put a high price on it and haul it to 14 swap meets this summer.
They just wanted to be done with it.
They wanted to sell their products. They were there to clean out their garage, to move on this products that they don't have a use for, and therefore you were able to bargain shop.
How many truckloads you come back with?
I didn't overdo it.
You have to hesitate there.
I went with a goal to get a gas tank for the Model T project,
Did you get a gas tank?
and I did get a gas tank.
Okay.
And as always, Jeep parts are cheap there, but you have to wander all the aisles looking for them. And I was able to get a replacement grill for my wounded JT grill.
And how much did you spend on that?
I have to guess. So they're on Marketplace right now for a JL JT grill, a takeoff. You're talking between $100 and $200.
Yep. I was going to say 150 on regular.
So how much did I pay?
$35.
Less.
God. $15.
Less.
10.
What?
$10. It was so funny. The guy, it's normal hot rod swap meet stuff.
Yep.
They happen to have a JL Sahara. They happen to put a Temu grill in it. Paint matched. He had Harley parts and other things, and he had this grill, and he had $20 on it. And they were literally like almost stepping on it to sell these Harley parts. And I was like, see you. Sarah Grill will work on a Rubicon. Got to do some parts changing, but the base thing, what's wounded on my truck will work. Mm-hmm. And I had gotten one before that I thought was an OE grill, was actually a reproduction grill.
Okay.
And I'm weird, and I want the OE stuff.
Are weird.
So I told my wife, I was like, hey, they were, busy. So I wandered away, going over to where my wife was at. And I was like, hey, give me $10. And I don't want to ask for change for this deal. So I went up and I was like, I finally broke them up. I was like, hey, that grill you're literally trampling on. Can I look at that? Oh, yeah, sure. And I'll look at it. Everything looks fine. He's like, oh, it's fine. I just put that other grill on there. I was like, I know. I was like, take $10 for it. And the guy's like, oh, fine. I don't want to take it home. That's right.
The art of the negotiation of the swap meet.
Yep. Same thing with the gas tank. It's a name brand gas tank. It was literally brand new in the box. The box had died from the rainstorm a previous day. This is a 3-day swap meet. I'm on the middle day, and he said, $100. I know it's a $300 gas tank. I was like, take $75. And the worst part is my son was with me, and he's like, you going to use that in the tea, Dad? Shush.
Don't show him my card.
So I was able to get that good deal. I very much appreciate it. It'll help my project along. I was able to get a pair of door handles in a free bucket. Love free buckets.
A free bucket.
Amy was able to get some enamelware pots and pans, so she was happy about that.
I had a car swap meet.
What? What the crap?
But I was actually surprised. There was a lot of people there, a lot of people wandering around.
I thought this was an indoor swap meet.
No, this is the spring outdoor swap
In the
meet.
snow.
In the snow.
Nice.
And they will have 3 swap meets a year. They'll have one in the summer where you go to get baked on. And then in the fall and the spring, it's just touch and go. What are you going to do?
Where was this?
Canfield, Ohio.
Oh, this was Canfield. I thought this was Jefferson.
Nope. So, no, Jefferson has long departed us.
Okay.
Sadly.
Okay. That's all done.
Yep. No more.
I understand. Now I understand the Canfield. Canfield, was this, is there a name, couple guys? Or is this just
Oh, it's the...
not Dave and Buster's, but
No, there's a group that puts it on. They're an event company
right.
that has taken over this show. They've done
Okay.
it for a bunch of years at this point.
You know what? Another great session would be our swap meets
Stories.
viable.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And
what are the lasting ones?
what are and where are, because York, PA All Breeds was a massive swap meet inspired show. And
now Carl is kind of swallowed up all those small shows.
Correct.
Same thing with Canfield at this point. It's the main hub in this demographic, but it's a small show compared to Carlisle and some of the other ones.
Absolutely.
So that's one of the reasons I wanted to go, is I want to keep these kind of things alive and around, as not everyone can afford to go and pay $350 for a gas tank.
Sure.
So
Sure.
I'll take the slightly waterlogged one from the track. But you'll have to watch on my Instagrams. You will see me putting a gas tank in the car here soon and making it work for my use.
I can't believe you found it. Congratulations.
I'm so happy. It was literally what I wanted. And there it was. It was kind of serendipitous. I was literally...
Yes. Yes, folks. Yes.
I like my backup plan.
What was that word?
So I was literally like...
Serendipitous. He's thinking serpentine belt while he's saying serendipitous.
So I was like talking up Amy, my wife, to like, no, if we don't find it here, maybe we can just continue on the summit, and maybe they'll have one in Scratch and Dent. And if that doesn't work out, then I'm just going to buy a gas tank, because I really want.
Did you go to the Summit Scratch and Dent?
I did not. We checked all the boxes. We were very cold, very damp. We decided we accomplished what we wanted to set out to accomplish. Everyone had reached peak fun, including my kid. So it was time to go back home.
Excellent.
And actually, we went home, picked up my daughter from grandma's house, and we went to Roll King, which opened up in
the grand
Saybrook.
opening.
And you will have to go there, because you will enjoy that show.
Oh,
so
I am thrilled. I honestly was so busy this weekend with personal pursuits, and then obviously work here.
The grand opening's still coming up. This is the soft opening, which I don't understand. It's super confusing.
You got to cut your teeth a little bit
I was
before
gonna say, we did a
get
soft
ready
opening for the
public.
restaurant too.
But you told people that.
Yes.
If you look it up, it just says grand opening is the 8th. So I thought they weren't open till the 8th. And then I had people going there, and they're like, hey, you really got to go check the store out. And I'm like, I know, I'm excited, but I have to wait till the 8th. And they're like, no, they're open.
Yeah. It's not uncommon. I get it.
So anyway, it's really cool. You'll enjoy it.
I'm excited.
It's got all the cool little builder parts and stuff on the shelf that makes me happy. Like my air system that I put in my garage, they literally have it on the shelf.
Interesting.
So I don't have to go to Amazon for that anymore. So I was excited for that.
Yeah, Royal King's pretty cool.
So
I had spring recital all weekend, so in between racing back and forth with that. Both my kids are involved in some way or shape or another. Working here constantly, and then building at the homestead. Pretty par for the course stuff for me for the weekend. Actually, I didn't have anything all that illustrious, if you will. A lot of just keeping the ship afloat at the moment?
My weekend is different from you guys now, obviously, with the restaurant. So my weekends are Monday, Tuesdays. So last week, Monday, I was able to get some siding repaired on my house. I got blown
I
off in a
wondered
storm.
how the siding
Yeah,
conversation
that
was
was super easy. Just needed to re-tack it on and went right on. Had that done in a couple minutes. But
Also, do you have another ladder here? That was a
I have
good
two
time to
ladders
have-
here.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I said something to Greg or maybe Scott. I don't know because I was like, you were doing the siding. I was like, I think we have like all of Jeffrey's ladders here. You
yeah,
know?
we have two ladders here. I've got another 28-foot at home, and I've got another ladder at the restaurant. So
For
I've got
someone
a
to
few
have
ladders.
as much trauma with ladders, he has a lot of ladders.
I do.
Yeah, that's right.
I do. I do a
wasn't
lot
ready.
of projects.
Okay.
So anyways, the Tuesday we had to put a dog down, so we dealt with that. We buried the dog, so I had to dig a grave on Monday and bury on Tuesday, and then we took the kids to Erie just to do something different. We ended up. I had a laptop that needed to be repaired, so I took it to Best Buy, and then we went over to Cheddar's, and we got dinner at Cheddar's, which was really good. Very shocked that because I ordered their Sam Adams beer, and they didn't have regular Sam Adams. They had their seasonal beer from Christmas. I'm like, it's almost May. What are we doing? But okay.
What?
Yeah, it was still good. Whatever. But
It was aged.
yeah, it was aged. Yeah. Yeah. So that was, but it was, no, we had a good time. The kids, it was a good distraction for them. And then I found out that Cheddar's doesn't accept gift cards, even though they say they accept gift cards. So,
Oh dear.
yeah. Because we had a gift card. And I was like, cool, we'll use that to pay for it. They tried manually entering it. They tried every way they could. And I'm like, it is literally showing valid and active right here. And they're like, yep, we see that. It will not let it take. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Use this card instead. Rack up more debt.
I ate at Cheddar's for the first time a couple weekends ago, and I really enjoyed it.
It's phenomenal and it's affordable.
It is, and that all of the above. And I did a little deep dive on the business because, of course, I can't just enjoy a meal and move on with life.
Yeah, you gotta understand the business.
I got to understand the business
I
a
get
little
it.
bit, And it was named by a 5th grade class back in the 60s or 70s.
cool.
They did a naming, how the communities used to come together and be like, name this mascot, or we need an idea for blah blah blah. And a 5th grade class is accredited with naming it Cheddar's.
That's awesome.
It is super cute, and a testament to them for, as a company, continuing to exist 50 years.
It's funny because I also, when I went to Roll Can, was not familiar. I had to go and do a deep dive on that company as well. So.
That's another fun one.
Yeah.
I've done that dive on that too.
Oh, all right, folks. Well, we have to deep dive into Jeeps, and we are staying busy with some awesome projects happening here now. Check out our live coming up in the next day or two. We typically like it to be on Tuesday, but, Wednesday, Tuesday updates are okay as well.
Yes.
Until next time, Jeep on.
Keep on.
Jeep on.